but yeah, the very first night there, I was walking up and down the hallways, just like I didn't want to go into my room yet, like with Ben, and the sun was starting to set. This must have been around 9 o'clock, and he said, I heard my name being called. And you know, when you hear your name, because it's your name and you're so used to hearing it, you automatically, whoa, somebody who said my name. I traced it down to Eric, and he was laying down in the comfort room, and there's a hallway that, like, so you have the main hallway here with all the rooms that you live in and stuff, but on one of them to the right, you have like three rooms over here on the right, which is like the shower room, the medicine room, which is like where the doctors go to get, you know, all your medicine and all that, and then next to that is the comfort room. But the comfort room had a little hallway leading down into it, and so I heard him call my name. So I was like, "Yo, what's going on?" So I go down. I didn't say that. That's what I was saying in my head. So I look around, see where it's coming from. I narrow it down to the comfort room, and I go and I sit down, and I see him. He's laid back in this chair. He's laid back, and he's like looking up. He's looking up, and he's seeing. It looked like he was seeing shit, but he was having a full-on conversation with the people he's met here, or the people he met in the ward, me being one of them because he had just met me, and I'm Travis. So he was having like a 6-person conversation with himself. Like, it was all coming out through his own mouth, but it was obviously a bunch of people talking to each other, and it was a complete conversation, except his body through it was like shaking, and he couldn't handle it. He could hardly breathe and stuff, and they put like this weighted blanket on you, just to like give you a sense of, so you're not so open to the universe. It, like, you know, it comforts you. It comforts me a lot. I like the weighted blankets, and sometimes they can put a little bit of heat into it. And so he was laying there, and they have him laid back in it, and they had this nurse there, Betty. All of the staff there I like besides Betty. Betty is not nice. And I don't know if it's because she's been working there for so long and she's so tired of it, or maybe she's just too old to be able to empathize. I don't know what it is, but she's very condescending and pretentious when she would talk to Eric, because you don't just go in the comfort room by yourself. You have somebody in there with you, and who was in there with him that night was Betty. And as he's sitting there talking, the way that I knew that he was having these conversations between these people was he would say a thing, and then Betty would be like, "Okay, who said that?" And he would be like, Jason said that. That was Jason." And then he'd keep having the conversation, and then he'd say a thing, and she'd be like, "Oh, who was that? Who was that?" And he'd be like, "That was Travis. That was Travis." And then at a certain point, he looked up, and he opened his eyes, and he looked over, and he saw me sitting in the hallway, and I was just there just to keep an eye on him. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, and he smiled, and he said, "Hey, Travis, how you doing?" And I said, "Hey, Eric." I said, "Hey, buddy, don't worry about it. I'm just keeping an eye on you. Just keep doing your thing." And he did. And eventually the conversation ended. And he got up, and then he came out, and he sat down with us. And it was me and a sociopathic girl named Serenity and him. And we were all sitting there in the hallway, just against the wall. They were both in front of me, and I was on the other wall. And this was just outside of the comfort room. And this was next to Serenity's room that she was staying in. And now that I think about it, it was next to the room I was staying in at first, too. I eventually switched rooms later on. But the room I was staying with Ben was next to Serenity's, and they were sitting there. And we were sitting there talking to each other. And the thing is, the other people, they had completely disregarded Eric as just a crazy person. But I started talking to him. I was like, "So what's up, man?" You know, I said, "What's up? What's going on?" And that's when I realized he's a completely coherent person. He can talk, he can hold a conversation. It's just that his brain has so much going on in it that it's hard for him to talk. It's almost like ADHD psychiatrically. It's almost like a psychiatric disorder version of ADHD, where he can do you for a second until a thing hits his head, and then he has to be brought into that and go into that. And it's always like this deep. He knows like everything about every zodiac sign, every fucking, like, it's just crazy. I gotta stop doing that. which was something that I had to stop doing there too. Nobody ever got on me about it, but I got on me about it because when people would tell me their stories of it, I kept going like, "Damn, dude, that's crazy." It's just part of my vocabulary. But I eventually started replacing it with the word intense. I have to go. That's intense. And so he sat out with me and we were talking, and I eventually narrowed it down to what he feels is that he well, at least this is what he claims. He claims to feel all of humanity's wrongdoings inside of him. He and it looks like it. He can hardly open his eyes. Like he's always like doing this thing with his eyes where like he can barely open them. It's almost like the sun is always being shined. It's almost like someone's always shining a real bright light in his eyes. But that's not the case. Otherwise they'd give him special glasses, because I know people like that. But no, like he's just always like squinting, like he's barely holding it together. And he was sitting there like trying to get the words out to me, and he told me that he feels all of the darkness of humanity and all of the bad things people are doing on him. He's like a muse for it all. He's like an antenna for it all. Like it all piles in his head. And it makes so much sense. Like the way he was acting and stuff, it all made sense all of a sudden. And I just sat there looking at him, and I was like, it was beyond words. And I felt like such a piece of shit for being there, because I realized there were people who actually need help. There's people who actually are going through shit. And I'm just over here going through Xanax withdrawal, and my chest and head hurt, and I want to get out because I'm scared. But this dude over here, he feels everybody that ISIS kills. He feels that death. He doesn't even have to know about it, but he feels it. You see him feel it. He feels everybody getting abused. He feels everything, and all he wants is for people to get better. That's why he taught me how to talk to people, guys. He taught me how to talk to people. I can talk to people now. I go out and I introduce myself. Earlier today, when I got out, I noticed my car had a flat tire, so I had to go and I had to refill it. And I didn't notice that the thing at the convenience store at the gas place didn't have a thing to take cash, so I just had to ask somebody for some extra quarters, which normally I would never do. But thanks to Eric, I just walked up to a dude. I was like, "Hey man, I'm Travis. I needed to fill up my tank, or I needed to fill up my my tire over here. Do you got like 50 cents I could borrow?" And he gave me 50 cents, and it was that easy. That wouldn't have happened had I not met Eric, because what he does is he goes up to everybody, just in hopes that they'll understand him and they'll talk to him. He goes up to everybody, and with a smile and with everything in him, he suppresses the fuck out of all that shit, and he says, "Hi, I'm Eric. What's your name?" And unfortunately, most of the people see that, they see him doing that thing with his eyes, and they can just see that he's suppressing it all, and they just disregard him, and they go, "Hi," and then they talk in that really condescending, like, "Hi, I'm da-da-da." I'm like, they're like, you're a fucking, like, he's not your kid, you know what I'm saying? He's not a pet, he's not a puppy, he's a beautiful man, and he's a big teddy bear, you know what I'm saying? And he's just this big guy, and he has so much, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not energy. He just had so much. He has so much in him. And he wants nothing more than to fix it all. But he doesn't even know where to start. And who can blame him? Who knows where to start with fixing all the darkness that people do? Who knows? And he's always switching religions. Like when I came in that morning, or when I came in that night, he was trying to push like Jesus on people. But then, later on he was a Muslim. And then later on he was a Buddhist. He seemed to be stuck on the Buddhism thing for a while, which I don't believe is quite, it's not the same as as an organized religion. It's more of anyway, that it was just whatever he could hold on to for some sort of grounding, he would switch to almost every day. But he was aware of it, and he was so aware of it all to the point that people don't think he's aware of it. And it's so, God, Eric, man, beautiful guy. So I became friends with Eric, and we talked for a while during my time there. Eventually, he just sort of locked himself up in his room, and he didn't come out for a couple days, and I didn't see him after that. And now I'm here, but Eric was some shit. But there were also a lot of other people. Serenity she was younger than me. She was the youngest person there, and she's a sociopath, but she's one of those people that, like, you can just see it in her eyes. She doesn't have any connection with other human beings, and everybody that she meets is less than her, which will piss you off at first until you realize that she can't control it, because she'll come up to everybody and she'll be like, she'll call you her disciple. She'll call you, like, she can't help it. She just has it in her head that she has to teach everybody everything. And you just got to kind of put up with it and nod, and just kind of, as she talks to you, you just got to kind of let it go. But then I made an actual friend. Like, a friend. There was a guy who came in who was kind of like me. Very much like me. His name's Derek. Derek is a big fan of wrestling. He likes WWE. In fact, he gave me some documentaries that I need to check out. I did not know WWE was as interesting as it actually is. Like, because as a kid, when you realize that it's all, when they tell you when they reveal the truth to you, that it's all choreographed and everything, you sort of, at least for me, I just let it go. It's bullshit. So, but I didn't know that there was, like, this whole, like, background, and, like, there's all this drama that like, the stuff that you actually see, the choreographed, like, fight, that's just the climax. That's just like what it built up to. The fun of it is everything but behind the scenes and everything that leads up to it. And, like, apparently, like, it has gotten real before, and, like, dudes have flipped out, and, like, what you fail to consider is these are big dudes. Like, at the end of the day, yes, they are doing these choreographed dances, but if they really wanted to, they can do some fucking wrecking ball damage, and that's something you don't take into consideration when, well, at least I didn't, when you're watching them act. But apparently, like, yeah, and I'm about to watch some documentaries that he recommended for me about, like, where people have really, like, lost their shit in the circuit. So he was really into that, and I got him into the XBs and stuff, because he was really into, like, cars and stuff, and Ferrari, and but yeah. Oh, actually, holy shit! I just came across this kit that I wanted to show you guys. Like, you guys give a shit, but look at this thing. It's a prototype, like the one I have in my garage, but I thought this kit was really fucking cool. See, I don't know if you can really see it in a good angle, but I feel like it would look a lot better with better wheels. But, like, I like how it has. Where's my finger? Is this on the other side? No. Where? No. Look at these, like, flares that come up, like, right there, and then it goes, like, right here and stuff, and, like, it goes down in the back too. And I really like this, like, eyelid look it gives the headlights. I really like that. I don't know. Completely off topic. I just came across it as I was looking through this. I really like that body kit, though. Anyway, oh, and look at this limousine one, or just the stretch one they did right here. I'm about to ruin this magazine, but look at that one. I just thought that was really cool. If you could see the interiors, it would blow your dick off. But I'd have to find through. I have to go through these to find all those. I think this one is the one with all the interiors, and this is all the exterior. But anyway, so I made friends with Derek, but we had a mutual guy. Hold it, let me stop it right here.